Number 10, the New Balance 9060s. This is probably one of the most popular shoes on the entire list. I see this shoe on so many people's feet all the time. The 9060 is a newer model from New Balance and is sort of inspired and is also sort of a mashup of previous New Balance silhouettes like the 990s. The upper of the shoe features that sort of classic New Balance look with nice suedes and meshes, but the midsole of this shoe is this wild looking brand new futuristic midsole. And this sort of old school look paired with this futuristic look creates this very unique looking sneaker that a lot of people seem to be drawn to. But not only does this shoe look good, it's also pretty comfortable on foot. You've got a really nice padded upper, padded almost the entire way around the shoe. It's not the most breathable shoe in the world, but it is nicely padded. And the midsole of the shoe features absorbed cushioning, which makes it soft underfoot and definitely the kind of sneaker that you can rock all day with no problems whatsoever. This shoe was not originally designed as a running sneaker. This shoe was specifically designed to be worn as an everyday lifestyle shoe. And so unlike a lot of other running sneakers out there, it's not the lightest shoe in the world, it's not the most breathable, but it is very soft underfoot, it's very well cushioned, and it looks really, really good. I absolutely love this shoe, whether you grab a standard colorway like this one or grab one of the collaborations like the Joe Freshgoods. The 9060s is absolutely a shoe that I recommend, especially if you haven't tried out New Balances before and you want a pair that kind of has a dad shoe vibe with not too much of the dad shoe aesthetic. Now price-wise, the shoe comes in at $150, which is not the cheapest shoe in the world, but it's not bad. And when it comes to fit, I would say that this shoe is true to size, so grab this shoe in your standard size and you should be just fine. I know I literally just said this, and I'll probably say this about a lot of the shoes on the list, but I definitely recommend this shoe. Check it out if you haven't yet. The 9060 is awesome. Number 9, the ASICS Gel 1130s. So this is actually the cheapest shoe on the entire list. Coming in at a retail price of just $95 in the standard configuration, this shoe not only looks good, but is also surprisingly comfortable. And if it's true to size, even for wide footers, this is probably one of the most wide foot friendly pairs of ASICS out there. So the ASICS Gel 1130s is actually inspired by the classics ASICS Gel Kayano 14s, however this is more of a lifestyle version of that shoe. And even though they did have to strip down some of the materials and tech on the shoe to make it cheaper than the Gel Kayano 14s, it's still a very comfortable shoe underfoot. Originally positioned as a stability running sneaker when it first released back in 2008, it features a relatively firm EVA foam midsole, but it's still softer than a lot of shoes in the market. But to add a little bit of extra cushion, you've got some gel in the heel to add some shock absorption, which makes this shoe pretty comfortable underfoot. However, what I really love about this shoe is the upper. Not only does it look good and look pretty similar to the Gel Kayano 14s for significantly cheaper, but it also features some nice padding around the ankle area and a very breathable mesh upper. Sure, the shoe might be the Toyota to the Gel Kayano 14's Lexus, but it's a really good looking Toyota. And hey, I'm not gonna lie, I am a Toyota fan. I have a RAV4. I love Toyotas, but you know, Lexuses are nice. As far as budget options go, this shoe is probably one of the best pickups that you could make. It looks good, it feels good underfoot, and it's incredibly popular. In fact, it's so popular, it's sold out in a lot of stores almost all of the time. There are pairs available online, but a lot of sizes are sold out in specific colorways, so keep that in mind if you want to grab these guys. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it can be done. And I think if you're looking for an everyday lifestyle sneaker that doesn't break the bank, but still pretty hyped up and people still really want, and still features that classic ASICS look, the Gel 1130s is an excellent way to go. Number 8, the New Balance 990 V6. The 990 V6 is the latest in a long line of 990 sneakers. It's actually, well, it's the 6th. But this storied New Balance line has been going on as long as it has because the 990 sneakers are all great. Originally released as performance running sneakers, over the decades the 990s have become lifestyle hits. And the recently released 990 V6 is no different. This shoe is awesome. First of all, it features very premium materials on the upper. It's probably the most premium feeling shoe on the entire list. You've got really nice suedes, really nice meshes. It's very well padded. It's also apparently made in the United States, which I kind of assume is just assembled in the United States because there's like a certain percentage of the shoe that has to be made in the United States, and usually it's just assembly that takes place here, but I could be wrong, I don't know. In addition to that, the midsole of the sneaker is also pretty thick and pretty soft. You've got fuel cell, you've got end cap cushioning. It's a pretty decent ride underfoot, but unfortunately all of that comes with a price. This is the most expensive shoe on the list at $200. But again, it is probably the most premium feeling shoe on the list and one of the best looking. What I love about the V6 in particular is that it features a lot of the paneling and styling that made the original 990s so clean and so popular, but it also has sort of a modern edge to it, like the sculpted midsole that really make this sneaker seem fresh and new. And when it comes to sizing, New Balance gives you like a plethora of options. You've got the standard fit, which fits standard feet, even probably wide footers, but there's also a wide foot option and an extra wide foot option. In addition to that, there's a narrow foot option and an extra narrow foot option. So there's like 5 different versions of the shoe that you can grab in any size. So no matter what your foot is shaped like, the New Balance 990 V6 should have you covered in like almost every case. I was wrong. There's not 5, there's 6 options. There's actually a double extra wide shoe. But getting back to the shoe, overall, it's very comfortable underfoot. It looks amazing. It's incredibly high quality, and I know it's expensive, but personally, I think it's worth the price. Number 7, the Asics Gel NYC. So this is actually one of the brand's latest silhouettes. It's sort of a mashup inspired by the Gel Nimbus 3 and the Cumulus 16 and I think the MC Plus V. And it definitely has some old school runner aesthetic with some new school tech details. This shoe is another incredibly popular Asics sneaker, as is every pair of Asics on this list. It features a really nice padded area around the heel and on the tongue. You've got some nice breathability because of the mesh on the toe, and the midsole of the sneaker is a relatively soft foam accented by gel hits on the heel and on the forefoot, which do provide a little bit of impact protection. I mean, it's not like you're walking on clouds in this shoe. It's not the softest underfoot sneaker, but it is a nice everyday wear. But when you compare the comfort of this shoe to a lot of sneakers that sneakerheads wear today, I mean, it's night and day. Like, compare this to a pair of Dunks, forget about it. But in addition to comfort, the Asics Gel NYC also looks really great. You've got a lot of cool paneling going on in the upper with suede hits and mesh hits. It's also a silhouette that's featured a lot of cool collaborations like the Hidden collab or the Bodega collab. I'm sure there are more, those are just the two that come immediately to mind. This shoe is just a good looking sneaker, and if you like this Asics aesthetic, I think the Gel NYC is a great way to go, especially because you can find it in your local sneaker stores. There are certain models from pretty much all of these brands that are so popular you just cannot find them. And I'm not talking about like the latest Travis Scott collaboration. I'm talking about pairs of sneakers that 6 months ago were available in store and now are completely sold out. Unlike the Asics models that inspired this shoe wasn't designed to be a running sneaker, it was designed to be an everyday lifestyle sneaker. It's comfortable underfoot, it's good looking, I definitely recommend it, and for a retail price of $150, although Asics does sell pairs that are more expensive that have more premium materials, I'd say that the standard $150 version is totally fine, and when it comes to fit, I'd say that it's generally true to size. A good-looking, comfortable, everyday sneaker. I mean, what else could you ask for? Number 6, the Asics Gel Kayano 14s. The Gel Kayano 14s are a 2000s running sneaker and basically embody the 2000s running sneaker trend. When you think of that era of sneakers, you think of the Gel Kayano 14s and the metallic overlays, the mesh, the very sporty look. I mean, this shoe is it. And the good thing is not only does this shoe fit the zeitgeist, but it's also incredibly comfortable on feet, and it's actually just an all-around good-looking sneaker. The Gel Kayano 14s feature a pretty well padded upper, especially around the tongue and around the heel. The forefoot of the shoe is pretty breathable, especially around the toe area because of that mesh. Towards the forefoot of the shoe, you've got some nice breathability because of the mesh on the toe. However, the sides of the toe, it's kind of covered in that metallic overlay, but it gives you some nice stability if that's what you're looking for. I really love the aesthetics of the upper of the shoe. I love these crazy paneling details. Like, it's so busy, there's a lot going on, but it just looks really, really great. And then as you move down on the shoe, you've got a pretty comfortable foam midsole that actually holds some gel cushioning, or gel tech, I think is what Asics calls it, which provides really nice impact protection. It's crazy to think the shoes specifically designed to be running sneakers in the 2000s are now high fashion shoes. Like, this is the kind of shoe that models wear on the runway. This is the kind of shoe that rappers rock. Maybe not all rappers, but some rappers rock. This is a dope sneaker. And in the 2000s, we took it for granted. Are these super minimal looking, ultra high tech running sneakers of the 2020s going to be like the most popular shoe in the 2040s? Kind of doubt it, but hey, fashion's cyclical, so it's possible. The Gel Kayano 14s are a perfect mashup of fashion, of aesthetics, and of comfort. This shoe all around is a great everyday wear. This shoe does fit generally true to size. However, if you have wider feet, it might not be a bad idea to go up half a size, but I think most people could probably fit this true to size. When it comes to price, I think the standard version of this shoe retails for $150, but good luck grabbing the shoe for $150. It's not easy to find, especially not in like Foot Lockers. You might be able to find it in some boutique stores like Lapstone or Hammer here in Philly, but generally it's not the easiest sneaker to find because it is so popular. I mean, I'm looking at Asics' website right now. Almost all of the sizes are sold out in almost all the colorways, and it says limit 3 units per order. Like, that's crazy. Most sneaker brands don't do that for their GR releases. But hey, I get it. This shoe is hot, it looks good, it's comfortable. Definitely check it out if you haven't yet. Number 5, the Nike Zoom Vomero 5. So the Zoom Vomero 5 first released back in the mid-2000s, so it's basically a 20-year-old sneaker. And I'm honestly really surprised how popular this shoe has been over the last 3 years. Since Nike reintroduced the sneaker in 2019 in a collaboration, I think it was the A Cold Wall collaboration, this shoe has been selling like crazy. And I mean, there are colorways like this one, the Supersonic colorway, which sell out immediately. In fact, I paid $200 something for this shoe on the resale market. This shoe actually I think is a $160 shoe, brand new. But I honestly kind of get the hype. Not only does this shoe look great, I mean, it's got that 2000s running sneaker aesthetic with that Nike flair, but it also is very comfortable on foot. The Zoom Vomero 5 features mesh panels on the upper, synthetic leathers, and obviously some plastic materials towards midfoot of the shoe, or I guess TPU materials. It is pretty breathable, which which would make sense. I mean, the entire shoe looks like it is pretty much all mesh. But even with that breathability, it is still pretty well padded. You've got a lot of padding in the tongue, a lot of padding around the ankle area of the shoe, and then underfoot, you've got this Cushlon foam midsole that features air zoom units. So it's pretty soft and pretty responsive under feet. It's not like the most insanely soft shoe I've ever felt. It's definitely not that. But it is soft enough for all day wear, and it's the kind of shoe that if you're looking for like a perfect middle ground sneaker that's soft enough, but also not too firm, this is a great shoe to go with. And I feel like a lot of shoes on the list are exactly that, but this is probably right in the middle out of every shoe that we're going to talk about in today's video. It's not the softest, but it's also not the firmest, so I guess it's kind of just right, at least in my opinion. Personally though, I do like that sort of ultra soft plushness, so for me, yes, I love wearing this shoe and I wear it all the time, but if I'm going on like a trip or maybe walking around all day, I'll throw on one of those super soft shoes, which probably doesn't work for everybody, but for me, I love it. In my opinion though, the biggest selling point behind this shoe is just purely the aesthetics. This shoe looks amazing, and I get that it might not be for everybody, but genuinely this shoe is hot right now. I know the Gel Kayano 14s are hot as well, and so are the 1130s, and so are the Gel NYCs, and a lot of the ASICS shoes that we talked about, but this shoe's hot. How long will that hotness last? I don't know, but I think it's one of those shoes that you can rock even 5 years down the road when I'm sure this 2000s running sneaker trend will be over, and people will still probably be like, those are fresh. Very subjective rating system I've got going on here. When it comes to fit, the Zoom Vomero 5s do fit pretty much true to size like most Nike sneakers, and like I said before, it is $160. However, you can find some colorways on sale for around $100. I think this shoe might be tied for my favorite overall sneaker on the list, along with the Gel Kayano 14s, but there's a lot of great shoes on this list, and it's only number 5, so let's keep going. Number 4, the Hoka Clifton 9. So this shoe is actually one of Hoka sneakers that can be both run-in and walked-in. I mean, you can do that with all of their shoes, but this shoe is specifically designed for walking and everyday runs. As we get farther down on the list, there are some other light shoes that might even be lighter than this one, but first impressions on this shoe, even though it looks chunky and big, it's very, very light. And the reason for that is the lightweight engineered mesh upper, which is very breathable, and also the compression molded EVA foam, which is not only soft, but surprisingly light. Now, one of the things that I really like about this shoe, and actually Hoka's in general, is that because this shoe has such a wide base, it's incredibly stable. So if you do decide to run in this shoe, you're really not going to be rolling your ankle. I mean, this shoe is kind of a tank. Also, because it's so wide, it's pretty wide footer friendly. But because of what this top 10 list is and the title of the video, you're probably looking for a day-to-day lifestyle sneaker. And if you're just walking in this shoe, it's great. First of all, the compression molded EVA foam is very soft underfoot. The Clifton 9 is not like their max cushion shoe. It is very soft underfoot, but it's not the softest shoe that they make. But it definitely provides enough cushion. It's also very stable and not too soft. Pair that with the very well padded heel area and the ultra breathable and pretty soft engineered mesh, and you get a very comfortable everyday sneaker. According to Hoka, the Clifton 9 also has what they call an early stage meta rocker, so it's probably the most rocker-like underfoot experience that you'll have on this list. So if you like that feeling of rolling into the next step, the Hoka Clifton 9 is a great way to go. And I don't know if it's still like a major trend, but for the last couple years, Hokas were like it for lifestyle wear. People love these shoes for lifestyle, and I think for colorways like this sort of off-white with green on the heel, this shoe is very, very easy to rock casually. I mean, throw it on with a pair of shorts, or I think I'm wearing long pants in the on-foot portion of this video, but throw it on with shorts, long pants, doesn't matter. Throw it on with a pair of Apothecary socks and you're rolling. Speaking of Apothecary socks, if you want to match all the sneakers in your collection with the most comfortable socks out there, at least in my opinion, I am biased because I own the sock brand, make sure to check out Apothecary socks. I've linked them through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen and in the top of the description below. They'll make your very comfortable sneakers even more comfortable. Plus, they look great. We have tons of different styles and colors. I just had some on my floor, so I decided to throw them on the table. But that gives you some idea of how many styles and colors we have. We have a lot. So check them out through the link at the top of the description below, or again, through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. Oh, and before I forget, these are $145 and they do fit true to size and are pretty wide footer friendly. Honestly, the Hoka Clifton 9s are a really great all-around sneaker. They're very stable. If you're looking for a neutral running sneaker that you can also wear for day-to-day life, this is a great way to go. Number 3, the Nike Pegasus 41. The Peg 41 is Nike's latest do-everything running sneaker. Nike's Pegasus line has always been one of their mainstay running sneaker lines. They've always been like the everyday trainers that are not too soft underfoot, but definitely give you some nice cushion, and the Peg 41 is absolutely no exception. This shoe is very soft underfoot, but also the kind of shoe that you can throw on for all-day wear. And actually, the Peg 41 is a pretty big improvement over the Pegasus 40 and really any of the previous Pegasus sneakers. Usually, it's a pretty small iterative improvement between each model. This time around, they changed things up pretty dramatically. First of all, the visuals of this shoe are better in my opinion. I mean, the last one wasn't bad looking, but this one looks even better. They've resculpted the midsole midsole and changed the knit pattern, which I really like. And while this isn't new for 2024, Nike did release the latest team versions of this shoe, so you can grab this shoe in any of the college football teams that you like, or any of the NFL teams that you like. I'm a Ravens fan, so I might have to grab the Baltimore Ravens version of the Pegasus 41. But while the shoe doesn't look like anything special, it's actually awesome all around. First of all, this engineered mesh upper is soft and breathable and relatively supportive, and they've also increased the padding in the heel area to reduce heel slippage. With the Peg 40, I had some heel slippage issues that I actually had on some of the previous Pegasus sneakers even before that. On the Peg 41, they've really bumped up the padding so my heel just kind of stays in place. Not only that, they've also made some adjustments to the tongue to make it a bit more comfortable on your feet. So the Peg 41 features two Nike Air Zoom units, one in the forefoot and one in the heel, which give you a nice responsive bounce. But those Zoom units are actually encased in Nike React X foam, which is one of the softest foams that Nike makes. So not only are you getting a very soft and plush ride, you're also getting a really nice bounce in your forefoot and in your heel, which does kind of firm up the ride a little bit more than something like the Invincible Run 3. And what's interesting about this cushion is that because you've got the React X foam, which is very soft, and then you've got the Air Zoom units, which are very bouncy, they're literally a pocket of air, it really balances out the underfoot cushion of this shoe, so it's not too mushy underfoot, but it's also not too firm or even too bouncy. So it's kind of like a nice middle ground for everything. It's very soft underfoot, but also very responsive. This definitely isn't a max cushion running sneaker. It's soft, but it's not too soft. It's a daily running sneaker with some nice cushion to it. It also looks good, so it's very easy to wear casually as well. And for $140 or $150 if you decide to buy the NFL team or college team versions of the shoe, it's actually not a bad price. And like most Nike sneakers, this shoe does fit pretty much true to size, and it is relatively wide footer friendly. Number 2, the On Cloud Tilt. So On is quickly becoming one of my favorite sneaker brands. And while On has perennially made appearances on my top 10 most comfortable sneaker list, this particular pair is not the softest pair that they make. However, when it comes to everyday lifestyle wear, the Cloud Tilt is by far my favorite. First of all, visually, this shoe is probably the best looking shoe that On makes, in my opinion, particularly in this white fade to black colorway. I really like this look a lot. This is actually the colorway that Zendaya wears in her like promo photo shoot that she did with On. I think she is actually an On ambassador now, or I don't know what she does for On, but she does something. So this colorway does actually have a little bit of hype behind it and does tend to sell out. Like I had to buy my pair for resale. It did restock right after I bought it, which was kind of a bummer, but hey, you know what? That's life. But genuinely, this is a really good looking shoe. It's clean, it's simple, the midsole is unique, and I actually like the fact that the midsole is toned down from other On sneakers. When you look at other On shoes, specifically the Cloud Monster 2, the midsole is such a huge element of the shoe, whereas in this one, it's a little bit subtler. The punch outs through the midsole actually have this sort of tilt to them, which I think is where they got the name Cloud Tilt, and it really gives this shoe a sort of smooth, comfy looking aesthetic. But the other reason I like this shoe so much is that this shoe is specifically designed for walking. Most of the shoes that On makes are specifically for running. This shoe, however, is made specifically for walking and everyday lifestyle wear. Because of that, they kept things simple. The midsole is still incredibly soft underfoot, but it's not too rocker shaped, so you don't feel like you're rolling into every step. It's also got the smart sock construction, which essentially just means that the laces are tied at the end, so they don't actually have to be tied together, which means that you can literally just use this as a slip-on. And as much as I think this sort of lace situation is kind of odd because it could have just made it a slip-on, the more that I've worn this shoe, the more that I like this lacing system. One, because it allows for some, moving and customizability in terms of fit, but also you get the benefits of a slip-on without looking like a slip-on, which makes this shoe even more appealing to me. The CloudTech Phase midsole is very lightweight and super soft underfoot. I love the way that it feels. And because you've got these punch-outs through the midsole, it actually has sort of an extra crumple zone, which allows for even more compression. Very unique feeling shoe, and actually a pretty unique feeling underfoot. I love this shoe. When it comes to price, this shoe is slightly on the higher end at $160. However, it does fit true to size, so that's a good thing. You don't have to worry about picking the wrong size, which certain shoe brands you kind of do. But if you're looking for a clean, minimal shoe that's incredibly soft underfoot, the On Cloud Tilt is the way to go. Number 1, the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel V4. So if you've already watched my top 10 most comfortable sneakers of 2024 list, this shoe is probably no surprise to you. Now I realize this is probably the most overtly running focused sneaker on the list, more so than even the Pegasus, but this shoe is such a great lifestyle sneaker that I had to include it. Sure, this shoe is incredible for recovery runs or longer runs or for people who really like a lot of cushion, but it's also great as just an everyday wear shoe. So the Fuel Cell Rebel V4 features, obviously, Fuel Cell foam in the midsole. And let me tell you, Fuel Cell foam is crazy soft under feet. Not only that, it's also ultra responsive, so it's very bouncy. This is by far the softest shoe on the list. I guess the On is as close as it gets, but still, this one is just like another level. Plus, this shoe is incredibly light, so you kind of forget that you're wearing it. The upper of the shoe is made up of a very thin synthetic mesh, which is incredibly breathable. It doesn't have a lot of padding on the upper, but you don't really need that because it kind of gives you a sock-like fit. It's an incredibly plush ride, and if you're a fan of that this shoe is absolutely the way to go, especially when it only costs $140. And when it comes to sizing, I say that this shoe does fit pretty much true to size, and it's relatively wide footer friendly. It's also just kind of a wide base in general, so it's actually more stable than I would have expected. Yes, this colorway in particular is kind of wild. This colorway is more of a gym running sneaker, I'd say, but you can grab much more toned down colorways like the all tan colorway or the blue colorway that are much easier to rock to the office, to school, you know, wherever you're going, that you don't need people like constantly staring at your feet. Which, to be fair, as a sneakerhead, I like, but maybe you're not, and maybe you don't want that, so there's other colorways out there. But genuinely one of the softest shoes that I've ever worn. It's unbelievably soft, unbelievably light, and very, very breathable. So all good things, and they all make this shoe incredibly comfortable. And visually, I actually really like the way that it looks. Yes, it's got a chunky midsole, but it still feels streamlined. It still feels fast. And I know there are other great running sneakers on the list, but if you're looking for a super plush, super soft recovery running sneaker, this is a good way to go. And again, it's great for all-day lifestyle wear. That pretty much wraps up the list for today. I would love to know your thoughts on this list in the comment section down below, whether you feel like I left anything off, whether you have any recommendations. Let me know all those thoughts in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.